from uptown, you know my sound is major. I know you like the lyrics, kid, so just do me a favor. Tell the tech to turn my dad up. This is a pack up, hey, yo, don't back up, because I wanna dive in and swim in the mentals, where your thoughts roam. I wanna make you know my home, before you never be alone. But when you hear my song, sing along with the rhythm, cause I got faith in fat beats that I get from. Yes, it's the ears, and I'm checking out the blonde one. Maybe I can have one, maybe I can con one. Chill, I'm one with God, brothers, it's hard to stay straight until you're scared straight, and then you can't wait to get out. Then you shout, damn, I got freedom. Unless it's being taught like, man, I know you need one. The right sound to make you free your mind. Wake up.
Okay, welcome to Conscious TV with Tom and Ramon. How we doing tonight, Ramon?
We're doing pretty good, and good morning to those of you listening from my side of the world.
And good evening on this side. Tonight I think we got a pretty well-known guest, don't we?
Yep, very well known. Before we bring him on, let's just go ahead and give our website. You can check out what other guests we have coming up, and that's www.conscious-tv.com. So our next guest is a PhD author, explorer, electronics engineer, and physicist. He's one of the most successful pioneers with ground-probing radar technology in the world. The technology is currently utilized in the Mars Express program. Agnew holds a bachelor's in chemistry, master's in statistics, and a doctorate in physics. Author of thousands of technical papers, booklets, and video documentaries. Dr. Agnew has joined with veteran archaeologist E.J. Clark to produce The Ark of the Millions, Volume 1, 2, and 3, and also he produced his latest book, Remembering the Future, which has hit number 4 in the self-help books. I believe it is. He can correct us. And hopefully one of these days he will also add on to that list, astronaut. Let's bring on Dr. Brooks Agnew.
I like that. I like astronaut. That's good. I'm just going to replace everything else with that. I like it.
So Brooks, you have a lot of things under your belt. For those people who think, I don't have enough time, I don't have time to raise children and do what I want, you've proved them wrong with your life personally. I mean, I didn't even read everything you've done. I just read a small portion of it.
Well, yeah, I understand. Maybe it's a hopeless case of ADD. I don't know. But I think that a lot of people come into mortality and limit themselves. They start out when they're young and their imagination is going everywhere, and they make dreams to do everything, and their parents, their teachers, their peers begin to make them rational and make them give up those dreams. I asked a lady just the other day, what's your dream? And she said, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I said, you mean you forgot? Well, maybe, but I don't really have a dream. And I said, would you like to learn how to dream again? And that seems so foreign to her, like something she remembered doing in the 3rd grade or something. And I see that happen with a lot of people. And maybe I just didn't listen to those rational thoughts. I kept dreaming. I learned to dream large, my friends. And I just kept following it. Even though I didn't make it to the peak of my dream, I was always, and still am today, doing what I want to do. And being.
Wait, you call this not your peak? Wow, it's scary to think we saw your peak.
not even close. Not even close.
Well, we haven't seen him walking on the moon yet, so.
Not yet. Not yet. I want to touch on a few things. Let's talk about the book. There's actually something that you and Tom have in common. And Tom, go ahead, tell them.
Yeah, the story you related in the book about when you were, I think, were you 7 or 9 when you went on that fishing trip?
9.
Okay, same exact with me. I couldn't remember if it was 7 or 9. I was 9 years old, and I went back to South Dakota to visit my grandparents for the summer. And they took me, my uncle took me to a lake there called Sylvan Lake. It's a little tiny lake, maybe 15, 20 acre lake. And it was opening day of trout season. And the banks were just absolutely lined with people. There had to have been 100 people out there fishing off the banks. There were no boats allowed on the lake. And fishing with a bobber and a worm. And threw my line in. It sat there for 15, 20 seconds. The bobber went down, and I reeled it in. Had a nice 14, 16-inch rainbow trout.
Nice.
I did that 7 times in a row over a period of about, probably about 45 minutes. And this guy saw me, and nobody on the lake was catching anything. No one. This guy walked all the way around the lake. He saw me catching these fish, walked around, and asked me, "Sonny, how are you catching all them fish?" And 9-year-old kid, I looked at him and said, "Well, mister, first thing you do is you put the worm on the hook." So that's been a story that my uncle actually still tells that to people. You know, the first thing you got to do is put the worm on the hook. But
just serious as you could be. Well,
oh yeah.
You know, I'm in an aluminum boat. I'm in a little 14-foot rowboat, that you get on Lake Palomar. And we're out there, gosh, there might be 30 boats, 40 boats out there. This is a big lake, though. And we're just dropping our lines over the side, My brother's in the bow and my grandfather's in the stern, and I'm in the middle, and I'm dropping my line down, and I literally felt like I could hear the fish. I could hear them getting close to my line, and I just knew where to drop the line down to. And I hauled in 25 trout. They didn't catch any. And we switched poles. We switched sides of the boat. I mean, they were so frustrated. They stopped baiting my hooks for me. I had to bait my own hook, which I didn't really like touching. I think we were putting worms or something on there nasty, but I don't, all I know is I hauled in a whole bunch of trout, and they never took me fishing again.
So that kind of, was that the same year that it was 7 when you went on the camping trip then?
No, it was actually, it was 7 when I caught the fish, and it was 9. I know it was 9 when we went on the camping trip.
Oh, okay.
I know that year because I know the car we were in when we took that trip across the desert, and I know where we were living.
Well, you expand on that camping trip. That's actually a pretty amazing story in itself.
No, I've tried to go back, even in meditation, I've tried to go back and find out where that 8 hours went. For those of you that haven't read the book, I'm not going to give you all the details. You just have to buy the book. But missing 8 hours, and when the school year started in a couple of weeks after that, my whole ability to bring to bear whatever intelligence I had completely shifted. As you know, the 4th grade is really what separates the sheep from the goats, as it were, in elementary school. 3rd grade, you have a lot of kids that, maybe they had preschool or whatever, and that kind of shows up in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. But in 4th grade, that's where you really start getting into reading on your own, reading out loud. You also get into mathematics and lots of repetition in doing mathematics, long division, things like that. And it's really the grade where elementary school students begin to stratify as far as their ability. And boy, did I stratify. I mean, it was like I was such a discipline problem because I was so far ahead of other 4th graders.
So did you end up, you went through, did the classical 13-year school, or did they bump you ahead any?
They did not bump me ahead any. However, what happened was my half-brother, was 9 years older than I was, so he was already in college. And what I would do is go to elementary school during the day, and then he would take me to college after school, which was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And started out in the zoology lab, biology lab, pinning bugs to a board, or looking at microscopes or dissecting rat brains, things like this, things you don't do till you're in high school, and also playing with very, very basic computers, punch cards and things like that, and ended up a subject of, and in those days there was a lot of funding for child psychology and ESP and all kinds of clinical studies, because we were in the middle of the Cold War and they were looking for answers. And I ended up sort of a subject kid at Long Beach State University on ESP, and I went through a whole bunch of stuff. Some of the stuff I still remember pretty clearly, picking cards, all kinds of telekinetic experiments, and I don't know what the results were, but I stayed there many, many months, so something must have been going right.
Wow. So do you think that you were maybe genetically altered during that missing time?
Well, I don't know. I've never had my genes tested, but I sure have, undergone a lot of IQ tests by nature of my lack of conformity in my behavior, shall I say. And over the years, the IQ just keeps going up and up and up, and my thirst for knowledge and my ability to retain it has gone up and up and up. And, gosh, after 2,000 books and, reading everything I can get my hands on and constantly writing and speaking and lecturing and listening to lectures, I have no idea who. I mean, I'm sure there are people like me on Earth. I just haven't met too many of them. I realize something happened that day, and I've gone back many, many times in meditation and tried to find out what went on in that 8 hours, but I have not been able to break through.
Is it possible you can tell us a little bit about your past life? What was the name of the species?
Well, you can't say it with the human tongue. It's a series of clicks. I tried to make it one time because I can hear it in my head, but it comes out something like, let's see if I can even do it with my tongue. I can't even do it now. It's a series of clicks with the tongue, and it's done.
Sounds like dolphin.
Between two sets of teeth. Yeah, that's what somebody told me when I actually did the sound right. He said, wow, I heard a dolphin make that sound once. But it takes two sets of teeth and I guess, linguistic practice at it, and I just don't have the practice. Now, I am told, although I have no independent proof of this other than several people reporting it, that I speak in my sleep, but I don't speak English. But I do speak the same language every time. And they can make out, words and phrases, and they repeat them back to me, but I have no idea what they mean. And I've tried everything from Hopi to Romanian, everything I can get my hands on, and I can find bits and pieces of it in various languages on Earth, but no actual words or phrases that match up.
So you've done that your whole life?
Yes, I did it even when I was a little kid after age 9. What happened was how I first became aware that I was doing it is my mother shaking me awake, asking me to stop talking because I'm keeping my sister awake who's down the hall. Evidently, she went up and said, hey, he's doing it again, and, come down. I have no idea that I'm even making noise, maybe snoring, but no, you're having a full conversation with somebody. And it's been going on my whole life.
Well, that'd be interesting to have you ever got it recorded or anything like that? It'd be interesting to get it to a linguist and
it's very strange about that. We have talked about that for, I'll bet 30 years. We've talked about putting a Vox, voice operated